Welcome, Vault Dwellers. My name is Nacho Bidness, and welcome to my first ever Let's Play. I thought that since we're all kind of currently waiting on more information on Starfield from Bethesda, that maybe now would be a good time to do a challenge run on Fallout 4. I was inspired to do this run by something many a true nerd said actually a couple of years ago in his Fallout 4 is Better Than You Think video essay. Let me play you the clip.
I don't actually think Fallout 4 is a looter-shooter at all. You absolutely 100% don't have to engage with any looting. You can have a perfectly good time playing this game without ever touching a piece of junk. Then you can improve it a bit further. If you need materials, buy them. Junk traders are literally all over the shop if you'd rather not spend your time looting. I just don't think it's right to call Fallout 4 a looter-shooter if all aspects of looting are optional.
So his contention is that we can completely cut one leg of the core gameplay loop of the game of explore, loot, and craft. And I'm kind of curious, is that really actually possible to go through the entire game without looting anything? And so that's why we're doing this particular challenge run. I am not going to loot a single thing in the whole game with two small exceptions. First, I am going to be allowed to harvest vegetables that are growing in my settlement. Those settlers are, after all, working for me, so I don't feel that bad about taking that uncooked food. However, it is uncooked, and without an access to dirty water, which in survival mode is going to require empty bottles, which I can't pick up, that food is going to have to mostly remain uncooked unless I can find a place to buy empty bottles. Second exception is my house. That is my private property, and I feel that it is in bounds to have my character pick up anything that they can find inside their own home. That's pretty limited. I mean, we're talking about the special book and maybe, if we're super lucky, some charisma boosting clothes. That's going to be about it. So I think it's going to be extremely challenging to complete this run without actually just starving to death, because we are going to do it on survival mode. Even if we don't starve to death, with the way that enemies scale with your level in Fallout 4, I am apprehensive about whether or not I will be able to keep my equipment in such good condition as far as adding new mods and such that I'll be able to keep up with the enemy scaling. It's going to be tough, but I am eager to see how this is going to go. So, my friends, let's go. We're going to do this no loot run, and we're going to do it on survival. I'm going to check in with you again as soon as I have my character customized. So here is our husband, Nate. Recently back from the war with China. He is actually certainly kept the haircut, and he's also kept up with his physical training. He is a big, muscly dude, certainly a lot stronger than his wife, Mary. Unfortunately, Nate has severe problems with post-traumatic stress disorder and has not gotten the help that he needs, and that has manifested itself in the form of domestic violence towards Mary here. She is a battered woman, and it is a sad situation. She is trying to cover her bruises with makeup, as you can see, but she's not doing a very good job. It actually draws more attention than it would have otherwise. She's also going to be a little bit of a bigger gal. We are going to have a low endurance character, and To me, that is someone who is a little overweight myself. So, yeah, running a long ways is kind of hard. She's not completely without muscle. We're going to have to use melee probably quite a bit, since ammo is not something that I will be able to create for quite some time, if ever. And so that means that it's going to have to be buying a baseball bat early on. I certainly think that a lot of the voice lines between these two characters, and also with the Vault-Tec representative, change their tone a lot when you add in a subtext of this is not a happily married couple. As for Nate's more recent history, he believes that he is going to be giving a speech to the local Veterans Association tonight. What he does not know is that his fellow veterans at the Veterans Hall are staging an intervention. They intend to tell Nate that it is time to either get the therapy he needs or separate from Mary and let her go. He has not become violent with Sean yet, but it is something that Mary most definitely fears is a possibility. Fortunately, we've had Codsworth to help kind of defuse things and help take care of Sean. But ultimately, there is a real concern there. As for Mary's latest round of injuries, they stem from a shoplifting incident, of all things. Now, Mary is an attorney and makes a good amount of money, so there really was no reason for her to go shoplifting anything other than kind of the thrill of it. She has felt dead and empty inside and constantly in fear for her safety and the safety of her infant son, and decided she was going to steal something. And that really terrified Nate when she got caught, because as an attorney she is an officer of the court, and she very possibly could lose her job if she is convicted of shoplifting. Nate has been unemployed since he returned from the war and has no income, and he was frankly terrified of losing his meal ticket. So that's going to be our in-game reason for why Mary will not pick up anything that does not belong to her, explicitly. As for why she will not butcher animals for meat, I'm going to say that it just grosses her out. She's not necessarily a vegetarian, but the actual act of butchering animals just gives her an ick factor that she cannot overcome, even if she is starving to death. Now, we should hear a knock at the door, and we're going to go ahead and get our special set up and go ahead and get our character's name set to Mary, because she is good to a fault. Now, these voice lines are kind of funny when you really hear them, in the idea that this guy is looking at a woman with bruises all over her face. So, good morning.
Good morning.
Isn't it? Just look at that sky out there.
He just is so clearly uncomfortable.
I'm here now.
And I'm here now.
So you are. Now,
yeah, like I said, it changes the whole kind of interaction between them, in my opinion.
That because of your family's service to our country, you have been pre-selected for entrance.
So, oftentimes battered women try to get rid of people they don't like being exposed to strangers.
This won't take but a moment. It's just a matter of verifying some information. Need to make sure you're cleared for.
We'll skip some of this dialogue because, frankly, we've all seen it many times before. But she just says no. Go back, go away.
Come on, hon. It's just a little paperwork.
And here comes the jerk, telling her what to do. And her being afraid
Okay. You
goes
talk me
along
into
with it.
Just need to get this pesky info all squared away.
Shame, really. At any rate, her name's going to be Mary because she is good to a fault, and I couldn't think of another name that sounded even more good, as it were. As for strength, we're going to go for 4 because we want access to the armorer perk at 3 and blacksmith 4. Both are important because we want to stay alive with armor, and blacksmith is going to be important to our damage output if we cannot improve melee weapons, since we don't have much access to projectile weapons. We're going to need that blacksmith perk. Now, as far as perception goes, perception is going to stick around at 2. We want access to riflemen because there is a decent chance that when we do have guns, we want to put silences on them and try and kill people from sneak and get them shot dead in one shot. So we'll take 2 perception, but otherwise no more. Endurance is going to stay at 1. I needed a dump stat, and it ended up having to be endurance, in part because we're going to charisma 6 here. I am going to be rushing local leader and cap collector. I want access to as widespread a set of workshop materials as I can. I can use materials at the workbench. That's not looting, but I will have to have those materials in a workbench somewhere, and since I can't carry them back from a different workbench back to my home base, we definitely want local leader. We're also going to want to be able to have stores within our own area, and we also want cap collector to try and lower prices as much as possible. Intelligence is going to be at 6. I am going to rush science as best I can, as well as gun nut at 3. I want to rush science mainly for turrets. People are going to be too valuable as farmers to have them wasting their time and effort doing defense. So we want as many good turrets as we can get. Agility is 7 because we definitely want ninja. It's also going to give us access to sneak at level 3 and action boy at level 5. And ninja, especially because we are going to be playing melee a lot and trying to do sneak attacks, is going to be just an invaluable perk. I just don't think that this is going to work without it. As for luck, it is currently 2. When we get the special book, we're going to take that up to 3 because I want access to Bloody Mess. I think Bloody Mess is kind of an underrated perk. No, it doesn't give as much percentage damage as some other perks, but since I don't know exactly how much specialization I'm going to be doing in melee versus rifles, pistols, whatever, I think that it is a versatile perk that I will be able to use wherever I end up with my character. So that is our special. If Codsworth would just get out of the way here, I would be glad to go comfort Sean. But he takes up the entire hallway. So let's go ahead and go take care of Sean here. And here again, listen to these voice lines with the idea that this is not a happy couple.
My boy isn't giving his mother any trouble, is he? Hey, fix that mobile on the
Almost threatening.
Give it a spin.
My boy better not be giving his mother trouble. Yes, you will go play with that mobile.
That's my boy, on his best behavior, just like his dad. Well,
I guess,
listen, after breakfast, I was thinking we could head to the park for a bit. Weather should hold up.
Dad's on his best behavior most of the time. Let's go to the park. Ugh.
Right, the park. With you. Because I want to get pregnant again.
Yeah, she clearly does not want to have another baby with this man.
Codsworth, what's wrong?
It is, as I said, sad. The good news is that the end of the world is happening. I will say that this had a lot more impact the first time I played this game, and you know, there's those musical hits and talking about,
Coming in. That's
you know, the blinding flashes, and then the TV just goes off.
reports of nuclear
That was all very emotionally impactful
My God.
to me at the time. But now it is just waiting for the front door to open so that we can sprint to the vault. So long, losers. I remember the first time I played this game that I tried talking to a lot of the people around the neighborhood, thinking that there would be some kind of gameplay mechanic or something that would come from that. I mean, after all, a lot of these people are going to be in the vault with me. But as it turns out, it's all just a complete waste of time. You can just run up here and
We need to get in.
tell this guy that we're on the list. And if he would get out of the way,
Adult
we
female.
could, I mean, we are in a little bit of a hurry. The bombs are coming.
You two,
So,
follow me. Come on. What's
the
gonna
guy
happen?
says,
to all
follow
those
me, and
people?
I know where to
Everything we
go.
can. Now keep moving.
Sprint up to the
Step on the platform in the center.
vault door, and we're going to face away from the nearest metropolitan area, because if a nuke goes off there and you happen to be looking that direction, you're going to go blind for the rest of your life.
okay.
This close to a nuclear detonation that big, you would lose your eyesight. So, good thing we turned away. However, since we've already seen the flash, it also means that we've taken a healthy amount of radiation. Radiation, after all, travels at the same speed as light. Maybe I'm overthinking these things. As far as the rest of the sequence goes, you know what happens in the vault, so I'm going to skip ahead 200 years to when we wake up. Talk to you in a minute. So here we are in the vault, and here is our first test of willpower. So we could
A release.
conceivably loot the wedding ring from our husband's corpse. But this guy was a jackass. He got himself shot and killed for no good reason. Didn't even manage to save Sean. I want nothing to do with him. Let him rot. So we'll go ahead and move our way through the vault here, and remember that this run is going to be largely based on my ability to cheese the settlement system. And I don't know that I would be uniquely qualified to do that, but certainly I feel like I have some chops when it comes to settlement building. So let's just go ahead and go through here and kind of speed run this. We can't pick up the meat from the rad roaches, but we are going to be able to heal ourselves before we leave the vault using the water fountains. There's two of them. One of them's there, one of them's a little bit deeper in. So let's go ahead and get ourselves an open evacuation tunnel, and no need to come back for the cryolator later, because we are not going to be looting that. That's somebody else's property. Let's just punch some rad scorpions. I was going to say rad scorpions. Good lord. Thank God there weren't rad scorpions in the vault. It's hard enough to kill these guys without dying on survival mode without them being rad scorpions. So enter sneak mode like the tutorial says. Punch this guy and punch that guy. And here is our first problem. You cannot progress the game without taking the Pip-Boy. So already, before we even leave the vault, technically this run is a fail. There is going to be at least one more quest where I am going to be forced to pick up something from the outside world, and we'll see if I can find a workaround for that, but I'm not optimistic. In the meantime, yeah, it's already proven that you cannot beat Fallout 4 without looting. Now, technically, many a true nerd said you don't have to loot junk, but this is a challenge run, gosh darn it. Regardless, we'll go ahead and take a Pip-Boy and open the vault door. While that does its big dramatic animation, let's just sprint back to the water fountain and get ourselves topped up on water. Now, our survival mode clocks do not start until we exit the vault. So at least we have that going for us. But once I leave the vault, I'm going to start getting tired, thirsty, and hungry. And tired and thirsty are easy to remedy, especially with the DLCs, and I'll show you how and why when we get to that point. But hunger, that's going to be the thing. Almost topped off here. Come on. If I hadn't got hit so many times, this wouldn't take so long. Oh, sorry. Alright, here we go. We are back to almost full health. I think I might have like a point or two of rad damage, but that's okay. Speaking of rad damage, that is going to be another thing that is going to be a challenge to solve, at least at first. I think you will realize what my solution is going to be if you think about it when I say that the settlements provide an answer when it comes to rads. At any rate, let's get out of the vault and take a look at the world for the first time. And here we are. No need to do any initial scavenging around the entrance to the vault. After all, we are not looting at all, so we can just skip down the hill as fast as we can to try and beat that hunger timer. And go say hi to Codsworth. Now, while we do this little interaction, I will mention that I do have some Creation Club content. I don't really care for Creation Club or even the idea of it. I had told myself that I was not going to get any Creation Club stuff, and well, one night I got drunk and bought a bunch, so here we are. Unfortunately, there's a problem with the Tunnel Snakes Creation Club content in that it breaks literally like the second quest of the game here to when we talk with Codsworth. He will just, for some reason, if you have that Tunnel Snakes content loaded, just sit next to the house and refuse to go searching around Sanctuary. And so I have not got that or any Creation Club content loaded just yet. And
Food?
by the way, we're going to get food here because anytime there's an opportunity for food, we want it. As I was saying, once we have this first quest completed, I will go ahead and load in the Creation Club content as well as mods. Now, one thing that I think makes the Creation Club stuff fair for this run is that fetch quests are just something that I cannot do, and so many of the things in this game are fetch quests, which means that for a lot of the different places in the game, there's a lot of XP that's locked out to me. So I'm hoping that having some of that Creation Club content will balance the scales a little bit.
I have an idea.
So let's get ourselves a little bit of free XP for passing a speech check. And yeah, I don't really care. Codsworth, yeah, stay with me.
I'm afraid I don't.
Well,
and
It's
A holotape from my jackass husband, of course. Well,
Enough feeling sorry for myself.
we won't even bother
Shall we
listening to
search
that.
the neighborhood together?
Search the neighborhood?
All right.
Yes. Why don't you go ahead and
Lead the
search the
way.
neighborhood, Codsworth,
Out to
and
serve.
kill all the local bloatflies. I'm going to be depending on Codsworth a lot once he is unlocked as an actual companion. He is a murder machine. In the meantime, since I have access to the settlement now, I'm going to go ahead and start scrapping some stuff while I wait for him to kill blowflies. And what we're really looking for is crystal, which rather infamously is not located anywhere in Sanctuary. People doing the Never Leave Sanctuary challenge, the only place that they can get crystal is if they get lucky during a load-in of the survivors' little bunker at the back of one of the houses. If you happen to get lucky and there's a random drop for crystal, you can get it there. But otherwise, you can't get crystal in Sanctuary. So we're not be sticking around Sanctuary for too incredibly long because we want to rush some crystal so that we can get ourselves a recruitment beacon going for trying to get some settlers in. So let's talk to Codsworth here. And yes, the family is really
Thanks
gone.
for
It's
trying,
okay,
Codsworth.
actually. I don't mind that Nate's gone.
right. There's still
Concord.
people alive in Concord.
Yes, although they're a bit rough. You remember the way? Just across the southern footbridge out of the neighborhood and past the Red Rock.
Now he says that's a footbridge, and so I wonder why in the world there are any cars in this neighborhood. The only road out of town leads to a footbridge. So do people just drive next door to the neighbors? I don't know. At any rate, let's get ourselves sorted when it comes to some sleep and some water. And also, the only bit of looting that I'm going to get to do in this whole game, anything that's not nailed down in here, I am going to take. Because this is my house.
Yes.
The only magazine that I'm going to get for the entire game, I am glad that it is a damage bonus to melee because I'm going to need it. And so I will come back and actually, no, let's go ahead and go get the special book. I think I already mentioned that for special, I am going to increase luck because I want access to the Bloody Mess perk. And let's just look around and see if we're going to get lucky and maybe get some charisma boosting. Yes! Yes! Yes. So, this is a good find. We've got ourselves a clean striped suit that is going to be Charisma 2 that is going to significantly reduce prices when it comes to vendors. We'll just get that bed out of here. We don't need that. I do wish that I was putting a scrapping mod in just because I don't know, I just think it's dumb that we can't sweep up these leaves, but I also did not want to give myself an advantage that I wouldn't have in the regular game, and typically those scrapping mods do give you resources when you scrap things like leaves and such. So we've got ourselves a bed, and although we don't need to sleep right this minute, and why don't we go ahead and get ourselves some water going. So let's get these out of the way, and if I remember correctly, in the miscellaneous on furniture, I there is a water fountain. So we have ourselves a source of clean water. Excellent. But we still have a lot of work to do. I will get back to you once we are ready to leave Sanctuary for the first time. Well, there is a lot of work to be done on Sanctuary, but I don't have time to mess around. As you can see, my hunger, thirst, and sleep meters are already starting to tick up. Now, the thirst is easy enough to take care of while I'm here at home, but once I am out in the wild, that is going to be a problem. Lucky for me, there was a couple of bottles here in my house, so that at least gives me a start for water out in the field, but I'm going to have to conserve those because my only other source of bottles is buying them. I have gone ahead and moved all of my workbenches over here, with the exception of the power armor station. I still have that across the street. You can maybe just barely make it out. I didn't bother moving power armor because, frankly, I can't see any scenario where I will be able to obtain power armor. It's not like anybody actually puts power armor into your inventory. I did discover something, though, from one of the DLCs that I think is going to make this at least a little bit easier, in that I can make these caltrops with nothing but steel, and they go into my inventory, so I haven't looted them, and potentially I'm going to be able to sell those. So because there is such an abundance of steel here in Sanctuary, I think that's going to help a lot. However, I don't have time to mess around with making a whole bunch of caltrops. I have got to hit the road. I think one last thing I wanted to mention was that I have elected to replant the vegetables over here in the garden.
Need to assign someone to
I
this.
could take these and eat them. However,
Need to assign someone to this.
if I go ahead and plant them, then that means that I am going to have a total of 6 plants right off the bat when my first settler arrives. And I want that settler to be making as much food as possible, as fast as possible. So that means that we're going to go ahead and plant these and go out on a limb when it comes to our food, because right now I have a box of sugar bombs and nothing else. So fingers crossed that I will be able to find a vendor that has some food for me to buy, along with maybe a baseball bat. It's going to be an interesting run out into this world. I, for the first time ever, am just going to walk right past this dead raider and not even look at him and pick anything up. Hope you enjoy the thought of this run. If you think that you want to stick around and see the rest of it, be sure to hit the subscribe. Be sure to like, do all the YouTube things. If you didn't like, tell me why in a comment, because I really do want to do better for you next time, and constructive criticism is how I get better. Thanks for watching. My name is Nacho Bidness, and I'm saying it's a great big wasteland out there. Let's go have fun in it.